Okay, we should be live now.
We should be.
Yeah, should be. It's been a day, but we're not focused on the past. We're just focused on the present now.
It's been a day, Cam. You live a tough life, I gotta say.
I live a busy life, not a tough one.
Busy. You know, I think that's what it is. Your calendar's probably chocked full of. Okay, a little bit of a camera change for you there.
Yeah, a little bit of a camera change. Got to switch it up for the folks at home, you know?
Yeah, for
they pay to listen.
Of course. A shout out to all of our Patreon listeners out there. What's up, old slobs? You guys have the kind of like the full visual experience. Because, you know what there's not enough of in podcasting?
Tell me.
And you know, like you know, Cam, you and I, you know, we listen to a lot of podcast stuff. There's not enough podcasts where the quality of video is not consistent between the two on the show. So like one ends up super grainy and pixelated, and then one is super HD. Not enough of that.
Am I the HD one or are you the HD one?
I think I'm the HD one in this particular circumstance. Look at me. You can see the zits on my neck, as you said very, very rudely last week. I have no zits on my neck, Cam. It's called shaving irritation.
Sure.
I don't. I'm an adult.
I don't know.
I don't get
I don't know
zits.
who you're trying to tell.
I'm trying to tell you.
I don't know who you're trying to tell.
Okay.
Sure, okay.
Okay. We're agreeing to disagree here on this week's edition. Jesus.
Someone's sensitive.
I
don't get zits on my neck. I'm 30.
I'm a 30-year-old adult man.
Sure you are.
I am. Look at my birth certificate.
Do you have your birth certificate in your house right now?
No, but it would be.
So then how the fuck am I supposed to look at it?
Call my mom. And say, hey, Cameron's mom, I hear that you have Cameron's birth certificate in that little drawer in the kitchen, that it's been in the exact same place since probably 1993.
We think? No one's really checked for 20 years.
What do you need your birth certificate for these days?
I don't know. Maybe to like get deported or something.
Yeah, I gotta get a new passport. Do you think that's a birth certificate type of thing?
I think you could probably go with it or without it. I think if you brought some other stuff, you'd be fine.
Mm-hmm. Other stuff, other stuff such as like blood type,
license, former passport.
You need a former passport?
I mean, do you not have a passport right now?
Oh, it expired like 4 years ago, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, like, if you showed us something like, I need to get this renewed, while this is expired, I also have this to certify this is my name and date of birth.
Yeah, I just need to prove that I am who I say I am.
Don't we all?
I guess.
You know, I have to prove that to myself all the time, Cam. I am who I say I am.
Yeah, prove that you're not an imposter, that everything you say is real, and all those things.
Dude, I even have a book on my fucking mantle here. Let's get real or let's not play. Okay, Cam, because I'm the realest mofo out there.
So that's either a business book or a book about the Moneyball Oakland Athletics team.
Isn't that the same thing?
I mean, it kind of sounds like the same thing. It was just, you know, a strategic business approach to the game of baseball.
Are you Jimmy Tutu repeating yourself?
Yeah, if that was the character that Brad Pitt played, then yeah.
No, you don't remember that show? They Call Me Tutu.
No.
Jacob Tutu. Jacob Tutu?
I don't think so. What station was it on? YTV, TVO?
Could have been CBC. It might have been. Yeah, it was a very Canadian television show.
Was it live action or animated?
Animated.
Yeah, okay.
And I think he said things twice a lot. That's why they called him Tutu.
Yeah, that would make sense. Either that or he wore a little tutu. Maybe it was like this cruel joke. You know, he was born with a Siamese twin who, you know, kind of died shortly after childbirth. And then as a joke, they say tutu.
Yeah, I don't think it was that dark. It was a pretty lighthearted show.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't on Showcase on Saturday night. That
was Web Dreams.
That was
a whole
Web
different
Dreams.
show.
Of course, we have Red Shoe Diaries.
Ooh, spicy.
If you want a little spice up your Saturday night.
Yeah, in the basement.
No
one else is around.
With 4 friends.
And someone's holding that remote, pressing the go back, or has their finger on the go back button, ready for anything.
For anything.
The smallest creak in the house. Ding! We're just watching the highlight reels for the 50th time.
Exactly. Yeah, whoever had we have to have something on the last channel button. So it's a quick.
For sure.
So it's a quick one.
Yeah, SportsCenter is always a good one for that. We're just keep rotating between SportsCenter and Sportsnet just in case. What if you miss a highlight? Yeah. Just in case one didn't cover it.
Exactly. See, this is smart. Are kids doing that these days? You know, all the kids with these phones, they don't have the fun experience of, hastily having to change the channel while watching softcore porn right before your friend's parents walk into the room.
Yeah.
What do you think?
As long as they provide Showtime, or they bought Showcase. Is it Showtime or Showcase?
It was Showcase. But I can only imagine that kids these days, you go to a sleepover with all your other friends or whatever, they just sort of, go to different corners of the room and just watch Pornhub on their cell phones?
Yeah, I imagine that's how it goes.
The communal experience of all of you watching the porn together. I imagine that's what's going.
Or there's on Twitch together and then screen sharing. I don't want to watch this one.
I don't think you can porn on Twitch. Can you do porn on Twitch? That sounds like there would be some kind of
let's find out.
A rule against that. I don't know. But yeah, hey, are you a kid and struggle with how and where to watch pornography? Let us know. twoceesinapod at gmail.com.
And with that, let's kick it.
Continuing tonight on Two C's in a Pod. 96.7 on your
Two C's in a pod, 2 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 C's just like 2 C's in a pod, 2 C's because we're 2 C's in a pod, 2 C's just like 2 C's in a pod, 2 C's in a pod at gmail.com. Welcome back to another episode, 2 C's in a Pod, episode 112 of the weekly podcast hosted by it's myself, Cameron Osborne. His name's sitting over there. His name is Cam LeClaire.
Trying to grab that power cord.
And that's not a euphemism, folks. He's actually trying to grab a power cable. This is a podcast hosted by the two of us. We play games. We have fun. We talk about the news. And that's about it, Cam. You're having a stressful...
I'm good now.
You're having a stressful day, or just a stressful weekend, or...
No, I shouldn't say that. I think, you get a little bit... You get in your own head because your house is messy and you want to get it clean, and you look at your task list for the week and you didn't do any of it, and you're like, fuck. And then you think, okay, well, I can let that crush me now, or I can realize that stuff's not that important, and sitting on it feeling bad is really not worth my time. So, just trying to stay present, Cam. Look at me. They call me the mindfulness.
Trying to stay in the present, which is very important, listeners at home. Don't get bogged down in too many things. So what if you have no dishes? Because they're all dirty with caked on spaghetti sauce. So what?
Yeah.
It's called mental health, people, and you should look forward to it, even if that means you don't have any clean clothes.
No, clean clothes. Those
Shower.
have been gone for months.
Showering, absolutely not. It's called self-care. Don't shower just because you have to, okay?
Pro tip, keep the bath always available. Whether it's cold or not, it's still a bath.
Exactly. See, it's society's norms told us that the bath has to be hot or at least lukewarm. But room temp, it still cleans.
Yeah. As long as you have soap somewhere in the house, I believe you're clean.
That's exactly it. And guess what, folks? There's soap in Mr. Clean.
Yeah, you'd be surprised.
Go grab, right now, go to your supply closet, grab a bottle of Mr. Clean. There's soap in there. If it's good enough to clean a counter, it's good enough to clean your skin. That's what I've always said.
This is what my parents told me.
Yeah. And Cam, and your parents told you almost resemble kind of the Mr. Clean man. Very, very, very strong. You look great in t-shirts and virtually hairless.
Virtually, yeah. Those widow peaks are just shooting back.
Exactly. Yeah. You're like a buff Bruce Willis.
Damn, that'd be nice. That'd be nice. I got to keep that calorie intake up. I think I put on a bit of weight since the lifting program started, so I think it's all good right now.
Yeah, you're feeling
about 5 pounds ish.
Because eating more has always been your tough part.
That's the tough part. Don't mind the lifting part of it, but the fun part about lifting right now too is that because I haven't done like heavy lifting in a while, you see those numbers jump dramatically every week. Where it's like I can put 5 pounds on my bench in a week, which is just like right, and you're like 15 pounds in 3 weeks, and then eventually you're like 350 pounds feels very heavy coming off the bar. And then you're like, I don't think we can jump up 5 pounds anymore.
Well, think about it. 5 pounds a week, 52 weeks a year. That's you'll put 250 pounds on your bench by the end of the year.
Easily. Yeah.
Easily. Like
Arnold's
that's how.
calling me up right now. How do I get this shit? He wants to know what the miracle gains are.
Yeah. Even he was asking. He's looking to get back into shape.
He still works out quite a bit.
He's looking to get back into Mr. Olympia shape.
Yeah, that might be a little bit tricky, but what an inspiration. Shouts out to Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Shouts out, big listener of the podcast, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Shout out to Arnold Schwarzenegger. Shout out to Patrick Schwarzenegger, his son. Shout out to the Hispanic maid that he had the affair with.
No, we don't talk about that stuff, Cam. That's the past. That's the past.
Oh, right. Like we said, we're not talking about the past. We're looking into the future. And what better way to look into the future than to go back into the past, and review the notes that we got from last week's show.
Notes. We got some notes. We got some notes. Notes. We got some notes.
Not many.
There's one. I definitely know there's one.
Okay,
so
notes. So what do you? So
what?
what?
I don't remember what it was.
Okay. Well, okay. So 0 follow up, but I guess.
No. Because I said notes, as in you write down notes.
Ah, okay. So
did we miss that part?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what you would have said specifically to, but our interns have brought to my attention exactly how long it takes to charge a Tesla.
Okay, this was the note. Yeah.
This was the actual note that you were talking about. Real interesting stuff. The Tesla charger. It's not something you could. It's not something you just. It's a very proprietary thing. There's 50 individually sized pins that go into its whatever receptacle or something. I don't know. A bunch of Elon Musk nonsense. But if you were looking to charge a Model S, which I guess is like the most kind of common car version of it, you're looking at a 10-hour charge for a full tank. 10 hours. So kind of like more than overnight. If you were completely depleted, you would have to get home by like 6, plug in like right away. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, if you have a Tesla kind of charger, you could charge it overnight.
Yeah, but you can also charge it at work too. Think about how little you're in your car during the day.
Well, then it's the whole issue of, the world isn't made for electric cars in that, you show up to your uncle's house for a family reunion, park your car, you walk out there with, a fucking extension cord, and you're like, hey, Uncle Paul, where can I plug in? What do you mean? I don't have a place for that to happen.
And Uncle Paul literally has a burn bin where he's just throwing plastic into it, being like, these fucking electric cars, I tell you. Fuel's coming back, I tell you. Oil and gas, future of energy.
But yeah, so what's interesting about that is that Tesla, of course, now they offer different connections, which will lead to faster charges. So like I just said,
there we go.
10
like
hours.
the USB-C cord.
10 hours for that
plug-in.
50-pin proprietary thing or whatever.
Right.
However, they do have a supercharger.
Yeah.
I wish there was a fun name for it. They literally just call it a supercharger where you can go from empty
How is
to...
that not a fun name?
I would prefer like a... if it was called like an X-Charge 31 6. You know, like a fun, you know, give it like a science.
That's fun to
Give
you,
it a
not
give it a
supercharger?
space name. But anyways, if you had the supercharger for your Tesla Model S, you're looking at a 30-minute charge from nothing to full.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
So
who the fuck is calling me at 6 o'clock at night?
So again, if you don't have a Tesla, if you don't have multiple rental properties, if you don't know what ROI stands for, just, you know, like we kind of said last week briefly, just go kill yourself.
Did we say that?
Yes, we did. We said it
Fuck.
many times. We told people to commit suicide. We said we bet you wouldn't do it. Cam, you started a Facebook group, which I thought was maybe a bit much, but you know, you know, the marketing side of your brain really took things and ran.
Well, I do have I can't say a passion for that, but a skill level for it.
Yeah, so skill level for kind of submitting people into your will.
That's right.
Huh.
It's persuasion, the art of persuasion.
Yes, the art of persuasion.
Yeah. Hey, you had a book on it that I forgot on an airplane.
Oh, really? And
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's coming back.
Probably not.
I don't even know who to call. You're like, do I call the Toronto Pearson? Like, I forgot my book on the plane. Can I have it back? They're like, which plane? You're like, I don't know. I was coming from Calgary. They're like, okay. When? November.
Yeah, especially Cam, because this is 6 months after the fact.
Oh yeah. I don't think they kept it.
I think somebody probably has it now. Somebody, you know, either a stewardess
just
or
toss
you know, someone just kind of found it in the back seat and then just kind of took it. Maybe they read it. Maybe it's now like a plane book, and for all we know, it's been all over the world.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, you know, like the
Yeah,
Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, but with a book, which is ironic because that was a book. So, you know, it's like books instead of pants.
Is that a double entendre? We'll never know.
I don't think so, but you're right.
Yeah, it could be though.
We will never know. No, because it doesn't sound like two things. I think the proof is in the French pudding. There, Cam.
You know what? We'll call it agree to confirm or deny.
Okay.
Speaking of things that are completely not related to what you're saying, I got a game for us this week that I promised last week. So look at me following up with promises.
Wow. Cam, famously great at following up with promises.
Yep.
And I'm glad we see it today. So what are we playing today, Cam?
It is the Canadian Tire Flyer Canadian Tire Flyer Lower or Higher Saudi edition. So that means everything is upgraded to millions, if not hundreds of thousands. Just way too expensive of stuff.
The
These are things
Saudi
that
edition. Jesus.
This is the oil money edition. These are things that you definitely haven't even looked at because they're just way too expensive, and you go, I don't know, probably as much as a house. Don't worry, that's in a comparison as well. Cam, I think we got several comparisons here, maybe about 4 or 5 of them that we're gonna go over. And you're going to tell me which one is higher.
Okay.
Do I
will I know what all of these things are? Or are you going to tell me something?
Yeah,
that
I mean,
is-
generally, I'll give you kind of like a quick summary on it. Like,
Okay.
We'll get with the first one. We'll kind of see it out from there. First one's pretty simple. First option is the world's most expensive coffee pod box. So you know it's like Nespresso pods or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
This is the world's most expensive one. It's Arabica beans sourced from Asia and packaged in Singapore, and they're compatible with Nespresso machines. So you get a box of 5, and it's made by Medano Coffee, a Singapore-based company. So this is in USD. What do you think? Now that's option 1
Mm-hmm.
versus a golden light switch. Golden light switch is exactly what you think. It's a light switch that is encased in gold. It's also wired. This is not the wireless one. This is the wired one.
Okay.
So-
Yeah. Okay. This is a good one. Well, yeah, coffee is one of those things like wine, which people have a taste for, and I'm not one of those people.
Remember, this is a box of 5.
Now this is a box of 5, right? So I would think, like, let's say I like, you know, if we're going for a walk in the afternoon, I like getting a coffee when I'm out and about. You know, you go to a nice place where the line is always takes forever, and I love that. I love it. And you eventually get an Americano, and sometimes that cup of coffee can be $5. $5 for a medium Americano, and then when I say, "Oh, can I get some milk on top?" they look at me like I'm the devil. Or they respond with my least favorite question, "What kind of milk?" And I respond with, "Well, the thing that is actually milk and not just water." But we're getting sidetracked here. Versus a light switch. Now, what's funny about this is a golden light switch in my mind is not ornamental. It's only just gold. It still looks like every single little bloop bloop light switch. It's just gold, like nothing etched onto it. Nothing like. At least when somebody's like, there's like a golden toilet. You're like, yeah, you can see it's shaped in an interesting way. It's meant to look luxurious. But how do you make a light switch look luxurious? If anything, I would want a gold plate to go over top of it that then, like those little things that go over top of the light switch, and then it makes the light switch look like a guy's penis. And then you're like, funny. Golden penis? Fine, funny. Some would say it's the Midas touch. I would have to say, though, in this particular situation, I know how coffee can get, and that times 5, a $50 cup of coffee times 5, that's $250. I don't know the price of gold these days, but I'm gonna go hard for the coffee, higher.
You nailed it, and it's not much higher. So it's $273 for a box of 5 pods versus the golden light switch, which comes in at $250 USD. So we're only looking at about $23 higher. But you tell me, what do you prefer? Right, 5 experiences or an ongoing experience of seeing how rich you are?
I think I'd go for the if I had to buy one, especially at such a small difference, I'm going for the coffee.
All right, Cam. Next one is the average price of a home in Kitchener versus one parking spot in a posh neighborhood in downtown Manhattan.
Okay, so I did see, I think I may have seen something recently that the Kitchener-Waterloo housing prices are just skyrocketing these days. Yes. I think that may have been something I've heard compared to like the size of homes or whatever. So you're saying the average cost of a house?
Correct.
So I think with that, you just kind of have to pick a number and then fucking hope for the best, right? The number I'm gonna pick is 800,000. That's the number I'm gonna pick for the average cost, just because I need a number, or else it's gonna freak me out. And then now one fucking parking space. Now I could certainly understand a parking space maybe being like 50,000 a month. Like 1,000 a month. That's a shitload of money. For any kind of like dollar earned bracket. 2,000 a month, 10,000 a month. There's no way, like, a parking space, unless it's, like, your space. Not like, a parking garage where you can go park there. It's like, no, this spot in this garage exclusively belongs to me. If that's not the case, I'm definitely going to say a cost in Kitchener, the average house of a cost in Kitchener is higher.
All right. We all hope for that, right? Thinking that's... Actually, no, we don't hope for that. We hope it's lower.
I don't know. What do we hope for, Cam?
I hope it's lower so I can fucking buy one eventually. Incorrect, Cam. The average price of a home in Kitchener is listed at $1,007,109. In US dollars, that is about $800,000. The most expensive parking spot in Manhattan that lies in a posh locality of downtown Manhattan costs $1 million USD.
Wow. So
yeah, pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, so yeah, a little bit more expensive there. Yeah, I think in that situation, that definitely would have to be something where it's your spot. There's a fucking valet. It's not just like a green pea parking structure. It's it's probably There's probably
I hope it's underground.
I would hope it's at least underground or covered. It's not just like a gravel park. I'm picturing like a gravel lot that you park at outside of Sneaky D's before you and your parents come see We Will Rock You live.
And you're probably not driving a Civic and parking it there.
No, I would love that. That'd be the fun flex, because who wants to put city miles on their Lamborghini? That's just gonna destroy the transmission. I know
Speaking of
cars.
time-
They go vroom.
They do go vroom.
And-
So we're gonna see how well you know cars here, Cam.
Okay, sometimes they go beep.
They go beep sometimes too, and other times go, and that's when you don't want the car. Next up, Cam, is the 2022 Ferrari 812 GTS Competizione, which has a 9.5 out of 10 rating. This is just coming out recently. Very high-end Ferrari versus the Richard Mille RM 027 Rafael Federer Turbulent Black Titanium watch.
Okay, so a car and a watch. Okay, cool. So
Car and a watch. New Ferrari watch.
now, but I did hear you say the words Roger Federer in there. I know that.
No, I definitely did not. I said Rafael Nadal.
You said Nadal, not Federer.
Correct.
Okay, are you sure? We might have to go back and listen to the tapes on that one. Okay, so Nadal.
So it's his version of the watch. I guess they made it maybe custom for him, or maybe
I bet something like
models
that.
for it.
And then you also
Something
said
like
the
that.
word black in there, I think, which increases
Black titanium.
that increases so much values. If it had been called Onyx, I would have said without a doubt it's the better one, or it's the more expensive one. But like, I know nothing about the price of cars. I don't even have a conception of how much an expensive Ferrari is. Even if I were to say
Now,
like,
do you want? I can give you a hint. Here.
no, that's no fun. What would the hint be?
It's a quote from a rap song.
Okay, give me the quote. Only because that's the hint.
The quote from the rap song is from Meek Mill's and Drake's "Going Bad." You may know the song. And the quote from Meek Mill is, "Richard Mille costs a Lambo." And Richard Mille is the name of the watch we have here.
Okay, so
We know we're kind of sitting somewhere in the same neighborhood here. Maybe.
So in that case, so I'm gonna say that this car costs, and again, similar to the housing thing, you kind of have to pick a price for the car, and then just see if the watch will be more. So for the price of the car, I'm gonna say this is a $350,000 car.
Okay.
Okay, that's the price that I'm sticking to it. Now, do I think the watch is more or less than $350,000? My gut is to say less because, obviously it's a watch, but unless the car is kit, which is probably unlikely, I'm gonna say the watch is more than the car. Something of such a specific. There were too many like the Rafael Nadal black titanium. There were too many like kind of parts of the watch that made it too exclusive.
I mean, I did say the Ferrari 812 GTS Competizione.
Yeah, but that's what cars are called, right? Fucking
you're right.
Like a Mercedes-Benz 450 SL. That's way too many things. Just call it Mercedes-Benz 1.
Well, I would say that if I looked at the Richard Mille's as well, I found a pretty big price discrepancy between
the shitty one. Yeah.
I would not call any of them shitty, but sure.
Well, comparatively speaking, if something is $400,000 less than something else, I'm going to call that one shitty. But I'm going to say the watch is more. And for my kind of guessing, I'm going to say more than $350,000.
5 times more specifically. The Richard Mille comes in at a whopping $2,048,516, while the 2022 Ferrari 812 GTS Competizione comes in at $410,000. Now, I did see Richard Mille's probably the cheapest one at $310,000. So if you see someone wearing them, just rob them, because that's going to be more than you ever see in your life.
Wow. That's a shitload of money. That's a shitload of money to spend on a watch. But see, I don't.
Hey, this is Canadian Tire Flyer Saudi edition.
And
baby.
I don't own a watch. I do not own a watch, so I couldn't even tell you how they work, what's the point of them is.
Well, Cam, I'm glad you don't like car or watches, because we're gonna do a second car here.
Okay.
The new Lamborghini Countach.
That's at least a
So
car
this-
I've heard of before. It's got the nice fucking doors that go up.
And we know, Cam, from the quote, Richard Mille costs a Lambo. So we have some basis of cost here.
Okay,
Meek Mill.
thanks, Meek.
Thank you, Meek Mill.
Meek
for letting us
Mill's
know.
math class.
Yeah. Versus a 612-pound bluefin tuna.
612 pound.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So something, like a rare fish. This like the whole fish, like with the purpose
Whole
of
fish.
chopping it up and eating it.
Yes. Likely for sushi purposes.
Okay, not just to have in a tank in your house.
You dicing this baby up.
Okay.
Now, I will say the bluefin tuna is officially now listed by the WWF as an endangered species.
Well, of course, that was because after the rock bottom, after the Rock delivered the rock bottom, the WWF had no had no option but then to call this the endangered species. Yeah, so kind of it's back to that coffee thing, right? Where like their shit's so expensive and so outside of my mind of like like an expensive watch, expensive car, expensive wine, expensive coffee. Don't
again,
know if
Richard Mille
cost a Lambo. Was there a follow up to that line where it's like Richard Mille cost a Lambo and I can't buy either one? I wonder if
No, the next lines was, "Oh, you rich."
Okay. Oh, you richy rich. Yeah, I'm inclined to say that this sushi cost that, or like the potential 612 pounds. That's a shitload of sushi. That is so.
That's just the fish.
That's just the fish, exactly, right?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with them. I'm gonna say that, and also because of its endangered status, and people don't like kind of the way in which fish are hunted throughout the oceans. Famously, any of these open water fish you can't hunt, but everyone loves hunting. Everyone go for a smallmouth bass next time you want to catch a fish. Yeah, I'm gonna say the tuna costs more.
Fish versus car. Fish costs more. Is it the Japanese sushi tycoon paid a record $3.1 million for the 612-pound bluefish tuna at the 2019 Tokyo Fish Market, while the new Lamborghini Countach will be priced, and it has not been released yet, at $2.64 million. So $1 million. Actually, no, sorry, 600,000 or 500,000 more.
Okay.
For the sushi. All right, Cam. Last one here.
Let's go for it.
And this one's again. You don't really have a frame of reference. This is not a Richard Mille or a Lambo, so all our concepts are out the window. The most expensive bottle of water sold at auction, or the feather of a huaya bird, a now extinct bird, with its only known remains being that feather.
That singular feather.
Yes.
Hey, that's cool. I like these auction type of things, right? Because anything can be auctioned, which is fun. Whether it's
just a small note with the bottle of water.
Okay.
24 ounces.
Okay. Oh yeah, this is all good. This is good information. Yeah. What's the
Yes.
container like?
24 karat gold.
The bottle is 24 karat gold.
Yes, covered in 24 karat gold. Yes, and displays artwork by
Cover-
Amedeo Clementine Mondagnaghi.
Okay. And is there any information about the water itself?
No.
Because see, to me, you can put it all, but if it's just Waterloo tap, it very well just might be filled with Waterloo tap.
Water bottle or feather?
I mean, it makes a good point. So, I love this auction thing. Yeah, so you're probably paying for the price of the gold. You're paying for the artist, but are you paying for the water? That's what I care about. Because see, to me, I would much rather pay for the water. Like, for example, if somebody said, hey, this water bottle was used and contains the remaining water from O.J. Simpson's last football game, I would say, like, yeah, that's going to cost a lot of money. That's going to cost pretty penny. I'm not going to buy it. He has a thing about people messing around with his memorabilia. I'm not going to get anywhere near it. But it costs a lot of money because of that. Or the feather, on the other hand, people love. Yeah, I mean, of course, if this is the only way, it would be like it's like the raptor's nail, big toenail thing. It's big fucking scratcher, from Jurassic Park. That thing's gonna bring up a pretty penny because it's the last one. So is it extinct bird or art on the water bottle? I'm gonna say the art on the water bottle. Maybe the artist is dead. Maybe it's a painting that nobody, the whole thing, the guy's just, it's a painting of a man totally naked, hands behind his head, just doing a meat spin. Maybe it's something like that, and people are like, can't say no to that. The water sucks, no one's going to drink it. So I'm going to say, I am picking water.
And you got that correct, Cam, by about 6 times as well. The feather of the bird, who gives a fuck about birds, $10,000.
Pennies.
The most expensive bottle of water, $60,000, and that was sold at auction by a Planet Foundation, and it was sold for a foundation working to combat global warming. So, good news after all. Now, what did we learn today, Cam? Come on, say it with me.
Richard Bailey
cost a Lambo.
Lambo.
There we go.
You're rich, rich, rich.
Rich. Okay, good. I'm glad we pulled something from today's lesson.
Interesting. Thank you to Mille for providing this week's episode title. You'll get no royalties, and you will sure as hell be hearing from our lawyers.
You'll be hearing from our lawyers.
You'll be hearing from our lawyers.
We hear from yours.
You better lawyer up, Mille. You better lawyer up. You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. Better lawyer up. That was a lot of fun. Another edition of Lower, Canadian Tire Flyer Lower, Higher. We really need interns to get working on an intro song for that. It's becoming a staple here in the podcast.
It is fun to just see how much shit costs to know that you'd never be able to afford the average price of a home in Kitchener or a watch. Either one I'll never be able to pay for.
Yeah, maybe we need. One week we'll do like a realistic flyer, lower, higher, right? So like, for example, you want Kraft chunky peanut butter. Does it cost more at Metro or Loblaws?
Oh, the everyday's people.
See, because no frills to Loblaws, hands down,
right.
Cost less than no frills. But
Kraft's crunchy peanut butter, Richard Mille.
Exactly.
Which one?
How much for one little component of this watch face?
Yeah. How much for a picture of it?
Probably can't even buy
I want the NFT.
Yeah, probably can't.
The NFT of the time at $4.20 from a Richard Mille.
Yeah, NFTs, get on it. This episode is brought to you by the twoceesinapod NFT. Hey, do you want a quick little photo of Cam on your computer? I think that's what NFTs are. Use promo code twoceesinapod for 15% off your very own NFT.
For one of them, I was going to do something that was like a couple $100 and be like the value of all my NFTs combined.
Yeah.
See if you could get it.
Which I'm sure is slightly more than the price you paid for them.
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, so considerably less than the price you paid for them.
Maybe he's floating around the same.
Yeah, floating around the same way. Definitely one. And this is still probably one of your better investments that you've ever made.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, compared to everything else.
I mean, the problem wasn't that you bought all that Blockbuster stock. It's that you bought it way too late. You bought that Blockbuster stock in 2007, Cam. You just bought it way too late.
Once I saw them tweeting about Netflix, I thought it was their time.
Yeah, you totally misinterpreted what Netflix was. You thought it was a way to distribute rented videos across the planet. Turns out it's not.
No, definitely.
And even still, that even wasn't one of your worst investments.
No. Oh, boy. Yeah. I was thinking about it completely unrelated. Do you think there's any like head shops in the world that have a bunch of clocks that are only set to 420? Or is that too on the nose?
Yeah, no, that sounds like something in a Spencer's Gifts, like a novelty type of store. It's like a clock that is always 420.
No, but I'm saying like at a weed store, like a dispensary. Like what time is it? It's like it's always 4:20 here, and then
No,
laugh
I
is
can't see it
consistent.
at being a weed store, just because.
Where would it be then? Like that's the only place for it to be.
No, I would say it would be at a novelty store like Spencer's, like the kind of place where you would buy like plastic poo, because you go into the dispensaries. I'm sure you've been to the dispensaries. They're too legitimized to be like, haha, 420, yo, blaze it. They're more.
I think we're more likely to have a stag shop at an address that is 69 something else. That'd be like, we need that spot there. Like, it's a terrible market location, but LOLs,
And Cam, and this directly kind of correlates. You had put all of that investment money into stag shops.
Yeah, why not? People love sex. It's never going away.
It's never going away, people. And it's 4, or I would think a clock that's just always on 420, so someone can say like it's 420 somewhere. I bet that's on a T-shirt too.
Yeah. I mean, my parents have a clock that just the batteries are always losing their battery power because it's a big clock, so they just keep it at 5 o'clock. So they say it's 5 o'clock here, and that's why we're all booze heads.
Right. Well, hey, a broken clock is right twice.
Twice a day.
That's what
they say.
That's what somebody first said. I have no clue who.
Hey, my Richard Mille is wrong or right twice a day.
I guess my broken Richard Mille.
I just engraved that in the back of my Timex. Richard Mille.
Right, yeah. It's like you've given your watch a name. You've called your watch Richard Mille.
What kind of watch is that? It's my Richard Mille.
It's my Richard Mille. Someone's like, ooh, wow,
that doesn't
no,
look
that's
like a Richard Mille. I called it
that's
that.
a Casio, sir. Does your Richard Mille? I didn't know the new Richard Mille's had a little calculator function. Little buttons on there. The expensive ones do, yeah, because rich people always needing to count.
You think nerds actually use that calculator on their wrist?
I knew someone who had a watch with a calculator on the wrist, and it was just so like, this is why. I never got the confidence to ask them though, and maybe that's one of my big regrets in life.
He's like, because I can't count.
But you're on people have their cell phone. I mean, you would think even carrying a calculator would be marginally easier than using like your finger point to like get those little buttons.
I keep a desktop one here.
Now that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Is that solar powered?
You know it, baby.
Wow,
love the environment.
Jesus.
Yeah, but I mean, it impresses when I'm talking to prospects or customers. Because, like, if I pull out my phone and start doing shit, they're going to 100% think I'm texting, right? But if I'm like, what are your sales in a month? They're like, I don't know. Because if you ask someone, like, what they do in a year, they're like, I have no idea. Like, how much do you do in a month? Be like, 5 jobs. Okay, 5 times 52. So you look at about 260 jobs a month or a year. Does that sound about right? No. Okay, so you're lying somewhere. Like,
so you keep a calculator it's a double effect, make yourself look better and prove other people wrong. It's kind of like
the goal is to figure out where the real number is. You're
right,
like,
right.
It's probably closer to 200. Okay, so 200 divided by 52 is equal to, you're looking at about 4 jobs a week. That's about, that's probably more accurate. Okay, perfect. Now, if we look at the quantifiables of those, what's the average cost of them? Well, our revenue last year was this much. Okay, divide that by blah, blah, blah. And then you can figure that shit out quickly and be like, this is good or this is bad. Anyway, that's enough business for the day. I think it's time to jump into a slice of ice.
Walking on the beach and it's really hot. I think I'm gonna go get a pina colada. Miami Vice is a slice of ice. My Miami Vice is a slice of ice. Wearing cool clothes and smoking cigars. Say hello to my little friend. Miami Vice is a slice of ice. My Miami Vice is a slice of ice. Woo, baby, you got that right the first time. Every single week we recap the adventures of Agents
Tubbs and Crockett.
Sonny Crockett and Tubbs. I forget Tubbs' first name. As they make their way through Miami and the greater Miami area, ridding the world of crime and drugs. But here's the catch. We only have 5 minutes to recap the episode and hope that we do. Now, Cam, you're kicking this one off, which means that I have to pull up the rear, which means we might not get to finish it.
Probably not.
I do appreciate the vote of confidence, though. But this is something we do for you listeners. You know, put yourself in a position that you don't have to watch Miami Vice because we'll do it for you. Okay, and we're going to put 5 minutes on the clock. You're going to kick off episode 6, Calderone's Demise. Are you ready?
Ready. Vroom, 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 vroom.
Oh, Jesus.
Green light. Go. All right, we start off with Crockett and Krubbs ruthlessly interrogating Carlos Mendez, who we met last episode, because he was someone who helped Armstrong carry out his hit list. And eventually Mendez reveals that Calderone is on St. Andrews Island in the Bahamas, along with Angelina Madeira, a woman who has been seeing the drug lord's surveillance photographs. Mendez informs that Armstrong was due to travel there upon the completion of the hit list to collect his final payment, revealing that he was the only person who knew what the hitman looked like. Crocs and Tubbs then take Crockett's boat across the ocean to go get the fucker. Arriving on St. Andrews, Crockett and Tubbs go straight into their hotel where they meet bartender Jimbo, who's been living on the island for some time now. Using Armstrong's identity, Crockett checks in, and Jimbo gets their hotel room ready, offering every vice available to them. The cops check in with the local police chief, who tells them that Calderone hasn't been seen in some time and puts the department at their disposal for whatever they need. Exploring the island, Tubbs locates Angelina, a pretty lady with little hair, as we've seen that is causing quite a bit of stir in the media these days, where she paints seaside views. They engage in small talk, and Tubbs learns that she works as a teacher in St. Andrews before she's picked up by a motor boat and taken off a large yacht where she is with Calderone as she leaves. It looks like Tubbs might have a little bit of a crush on him. Crockett arrives and the two vice cops observe Angelina through the binoculars as she climbs aboard the yacht and quickly notices that Calderone is also on board. We went over that. Back at the hotel, Crockett sees that his obituary is in the paper as he's planted that information to convince Calderone that the hit is complete. Jimbo comes by to deliver a message to their hotel room that Calderone's people want to meet to settle the payment. Him, of course, being Anderson. Posing as Armstrong, Crockett meets with Calderone's employee named Guillermo and demands another $30,000 for more than his previous fee because he has not informed Crockett or Armstrong that Crockett was a cop. He further demands that the money must be paid in person by Calderone or he will become number 9 on the list. Guillermo leaves to deliver the message to Calderone, who is on a boat, which he begrudgingly accepts at that moment. Cam, go ahead.
So at this point, the boys are driving in their car when they're passed by a group of partiers on their way to this masquerade festival this evening. We go into slow motion as the car pulls up beside them, and Crockett notices these men with tiger masks. He also sees that one of them is holding a machine gun, so he slams on the brake. The other car slams on the brake, which means that they have enough time to hit the gas, and the chase is on. They're driving through the city while getting shot at. As they're weaving through the streets, they lose the tail for a minute. The tail catches up with them before the boys drive right off into the ocean. The tiger masked men shoot the car, and boom! Crockett and Tubbs are dead! But just as the masked men are driving away, Crockett and Tubbs emerge from the water. The police arrive at the scene, who tell the boys that Calderone's boat was spotted leaving the island, so we're back at square one. Crockett, however, is suspicious about the chief of police on the island. Since he might be dirty, it looks like the boys are on their own. We cut to a beautiful mansion where Tubbs comes to visit a freshly showered Angelina. After a quick conversation, they start making out hard as the two begin to undress with a beautiful ocean scenic overlay. After they bang, Tubbs asks her about her boyfriend Calderone, and Angelina tells him that Calderone is actually her father. She wants to even introduce the two tonight at the masquerade party. So back on the boat, Croc and Tubbs hatch out a plan for the night. Tubbs is conflicted because he doesn't want to expose Angelina to the man her father really is. We gear up, mask up, and we're ready to party. At the masquerade, there's food, fireworks, dancing, while the boys are wearing what looks kind of like Cinco de Mayo masks. Tubbs finds Angelina, and they dance for a bit as they wait for Calderone to arrive. Tubbs loses tracks of Crockett, and when he goes to look for him, a man with a gun stops him. Tubbs smashes a bottle over his head just when he sees Crockett being escorted boarded to a small boat at gunpoint. Tubbs grabs Angelina and tells him everything, and she is not willing to accept the man that her father really is. At Calderone, Crockett is being held as the two talk. Calderone rants on about how elusive he is as a criminal. A henchman tells him that Tubbs got away, and he smashes a glass over his head right when Angelina walks in. She surprises him, but not as much as Tubbs, who is standing right behind her with his patented sawed-off shotgun. After a tense moment, Calderone's men start to drop their weapons before a shootout ensues. One henchman gets shot before Calderone points a gun at Tubbs while Angelina yells, "No, no, no!" Just then, Crockett rolls out and a machine gun guns down Calderone, who falls back into a pool. At this point, the police arrive. Tubbs apologizes for Angelina for how things went down, while What's Love Got to Do With It plays as over the Caribbean Ocean as the two of them make it back to Miami.
Time.
I know that was time. I don't need a fucking alarm.
You were talking pretty quick there. I wasn't sure.
I know how to do time.
I can tell the time.
I can tell
My Casio
time.
also tells the time.
My Casio tells time. It's a Tamagotchi wristwatch all in one. Here I am with my Sharp EL546W advanced Dow.
Oh damn!
Yeah, you want to do your fucking sin cost tan? Remember that shit that Mr. Lamb failed you for in grade 11 university math that you haven't used since? Yeah, that's right, Mr. Lamb. Go fuck yourself. Yeah, you heard it right here, folks. This calculator is so old that it no longer.
How old is it?
It's so old that it no longer charges. So it's like solar powered thing, solar panel, whatever, right? But like it's never in the sun. So it's barely legible. You kind of have to like leave it in the sun for an hour to maybe get 20 minutes of screen time.
Good joke.
Oh, I quit the joke after you said how old is it?
This calculator is so old. It's rocks.
This calculator's so old. It went to preschool with your wife.
Oh,
is that exciting, Cam? Like, there's gonna be this certain point in your very near future where either you have to make the decision, right? Like, someone's gonna we'll go away to a weekend at the cottage, a weekend away, and we'll be making jokes about my wife. Cam, you will either have to not participate in the jokes whatsoever, or
triple down on them.
Or triple down on them.
You guessed it.
I feel like you and Shannon are gonna have to have a serious conversation where you're like, "Hey, I'm gonna say things like my
I'm
wife."
Gonna drop several times,
but I'm not actually talking about you. I'm talking about the greater idea of
monogamy.
My wife. We were the other day just said we were talking about like friends who still live with their parents, kind of into their 20s or 30s or whatever. And she said the funniest thing where she was like, "I don't get how people like their parents." And it was one of those, it was just like one of those funny, like, you're talking about the greater idea of it. Everyone loves their parents, obviously, but like, I don't like
being with them all the time. Yeah.
I love my parents, but I mean, if I met my mom in high school, we would not be friends.
Yeah, it's probably fair. I mean, I think that's most people that are like 30 to 40 years older than you are.
Yeah, I think my dad and I would be friends.
Also, it'd be weird if you had a 30-year-old in your high school.
Also very weird. There was a guy who was like 20 when I was in, maybe even older, 21.
Yeah.
When I was in like grade 12. That was a little jarring.
Yeah, that'd be a little bit.
It was a little weird. Yeah. He was this kid because we went to I was at like the regional art school. So we had like a boost. We had like just like a boosted up arts program, but there was a guy who got to grade 12 and then decided he wanted to start acting more, like, taking all the drama classes, doing the plays, the musicals, and all that stuff.
Right.
So because of that, like, he was either like in grade 12 or his victory lap and then decided. So then he kind of like went back to square one as a 19-year-old. It was real weird. It was weird, like seeing him at parties and stuff, and you're like, you're 21, I'm 17. Like this is cool.
Unless you're buying booze for me, I don't see us talking.
Like this is cool for me, weird for you.
Yeah, you shouldn't feel good about this interaction.
You shouldn't, because he would take like the leading roles from like the actual 17-year-olds, and I was like, well, obviously this guy's better. He's 4 years older than everybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is bullshit.
You know, hey, I believe
they're trying to cast a person that looks like he's 25. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna give.
Yeah, obviously you're gonna give it to that guy. He is actually 25.
He has a beard.
He has a full beard. Mine, you would have to glue on. It's the. Yeah, it was a weird guy. I sometimes wonder what that guy's doing.
Ready to kick it to our second last game of the evening? Or I guess it's called the last game of the evening.
Yeah, this is our last game of the evening, folks. You know what it's called? It's our flagship. One could say. If this was SNL, I would be Colin Jost, you would be Michael Che, and we'd be going to Weekend Update. Because this game is actually called Headline or Asinine.
Hey, headline or asinine. Hey, headline or asinine.
We know how to play the game. There's headlines out there, and then there's asinines out there. There's hi-os, there's no hi-os. There's wasn't one like something to do with bologna?
Bologna salami.
There's bolognas, there's salamis. So let's hear what it is, Cam. I go in here for you. Ready?
Yes, sir.
Headline or asinine, Cam. Teacher leaves classroom on a stretcher after 5-year-olds attack.
Damn, this is the age-old debate. Would you rather fight 20 chipmunks or 4 5-year-olds?
Famous debate. One of the famous chipmunk
Yeah.
kid debates out there.
Yeah. What would you think? How many 5-year-olds think you could fight until you got in a hospital bed and dragged out in the school, like the headline says? Can you give me one more repeat on that? I just want to make sure I get my vocabulary right.
Of course. Teacher leaves classroom on a stretcher after 5-year-olds attack.
Yeah, I think they can be more cunning than we assume. And I don't think this is a brute force attack. I think it was like a little bit of a prank gone wrong, where it's like, when he leaves, let's get the olive oil and put it on the ground, right? Next thing you know, he slips, cracks his head open. They think it's hilarious, start putting glue up his nose. Next thing you know, the ambulance is coming. They're trying to pick him up because those rugrats caused some problems. And you know what? The worst part is, Cam, that you can't legally put a 5-year-old in prison. But that's a headline.
Cam, this one is a headline here for you. This is a story out of Florida at Pine Lakes Elementary School. When 2 students, both age 5, were being disruptive in class, they were flipping chairs, yelling at classmates, and throwing things across the room. They were
calling their classmates the N-word.
They were, which was crazy because it was a segregated school. It was all white. So they were taken down to the school's cool down room. Part of, this new age thing of not putting kids in detention. Nobody's accountable for their actions. The kids were put into the cool down room when the students started to attack the teacher who was in the room there with them, throwing fists, kicking, throwing fists. Eventually the teacher had to radio to help for the rest of the teachers. Eventually the police were even called. When the other teachers got into the room, they found the teacher on the ground and appeared to be faint and dazed with a heavy, dry cough and blood coming from their nose.
No way.
She was eventually...
how big is a 5-year-old?
She was eventually carried out of the school and brought to a local hospital. Because it's kids, there are certain parts of what happened that, legally they're not allowed to say. But something happened and this teacher got the shit kicked out of him.
I can see it there was scissors involved, where I'm like, those can be dangerous. If it's just straight hand-to-hand combat, I look at that and go, you need to...
It was straight hand-to-hand combat.
You don't deserve to make it this far.
No.
If you can't deal with that.
Quite frankly, no.
Yeah. They wouldn't last a week in the Bronx, I tell you. 86, oh my God. All right, Cam, headline or asinine. Rocket launchers were found in a trash can near Temecula Middle High School.
Rocket launchers, a classic RPG. Yeah, hopefully, one that the fucking Taliban has streaming out of a Jeep. Was found out of a high school. So, I mean, and I don't know the rules, depending on if this was in America, depending on the state, rocket launchers could, maybe be allowed. If you were to tell me, hey, did you know in Alabama you can legally have a rocket launcher? I would say, no, that sounds believable. That would be a not surprising fact. But what they're doing just in a garbage can, is scary for a couple reasons, right? It means that, one, anyone could have gotten them, gotten their hands on them coming out of the garbage can, who knows? Or two, is that in wherever this is, rocket launches are so readily available that people are throwing them out like it's a broken toy. They're like, this is the 2017, I just got the 2022, and you're throwing it in the trash. Which I guess maybe because Valley Village has a policy where you can't donate firearms, so they had to get rid of it somehow. I am excited. I hope this is a story because I'm curious, if it's legal. I mean, of course, leaving it behind sounds illegal, but I'm going to hope for the best. I'm going to say this one is a headline.
This is a headline, and we're going to get into the legality of rocket launchers, and I think we're all going to be surprised by this.
Hopefully.
Okay, so 2 rocket launchers and a practice grenade. And just so you know, a practice grenade is not a real grenade. It's just called a dummy grenade or a practice grenade, which has the exact same shape and feel, has a pin in it, but will not explode. Were found in a garbage can about 300 meters from a high school. The community service operator who found it was the part of the Riverside County Sheriff's Department while carrying out a search warrant in Temecula, California. Christopher Whetstone, 41, has been arrested on charges of grand theft through video footage and fingerprint evidence. Seems like he might have ditched this bazooka because apparently in this crime there was narcotics and a bazooka involved with this. Although the school is located directly behind the residence, the school is not directly involved with the incident. So you may ask yourself, can I get a bazooka? Well, it turns out grenades and rocket launchers, also known as bazookas, are considered destructive devices by the National Firearms Act. They are also classified as firearms and therefore legal with proper registration. However, state and local authorities have power to further regulate or outlaw these weapons in the jurisdiction. The point I'm trying to make here is that in some places in America, owning a bazooka is fully legal. In California, it is not. I don't think the best place to put it is in a garbage can. So for that, he broke the law. It is a misdemeanor or a felony for that.
Yeah, it must be harder to get than a normal gun. Because, if it was easy to get, we would be seeing school rocket launcherings. Which by the way, kids at home, if you're listening to this podcast, it would be so much more efficient to just bazooka the cafeteria than it would be individual rounds. You're gonna get 14 kids tops,
maybe.
Bazooka into the auditorium, that's the entire senior class. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I like how on the bazooka too, it has instructions for how to use the bazooka, which I find fun.
Well, what are the instructions? It's point towards object. There's a little button you press. You hit R2.
A lot of safety things.
Good, hopefully.
It's don't use when drinking. You're like, ugh.
Right, it's more...
Rule one's always broken.
Yeah, it's more kind of the same rules that probably apply to, driving a scissor lift.
Yeah. When you used to get tracked, do not... It's funny whenever you see those warnings that are do not operate heavy machinery while under the influence of drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
And the first thing you think about is, a giant tractor, and it's heavy machinery also includes a car. You're I guess, but I like to picture being a bobcat.
I would say that heavy machinery would also be a big like a John Deere lawnmower. I couldn't lift that above my head. That's heavy.
Yeah, I'm on board. All right, hit me up.
Cam, I got one here for you. Headline Asinine. Delivery driver dips testicles into customer salsa, is sentenced to prison.
The only thing, because I imagine if you're buying salsa, it kind of has to be in some kind of packaging. And once that packaging comes off, you're going to start asking a lot of questions. Side story, my dad picked up a package that came to his door the other day that just said Charles LeBlanc on it. And then it just had the street that he lives on, but not a number.
Charlie.
And apparently,
Charlie LeBlanc.
Yeah, Charlie LeBlanc. Anyway, the Amazon or whoever is delivering it drove up our driveway, dropped it off, and then just left. And we were like, "That's really weird." No one ordered anything. Open it up. It is a bunch of THC, a bunch of CBD, and all oils. Like probably a few $100 worth of it. And he's just like, I don't know what to do with this. I'm like, I got a few ideas.
Is there a Charlie LeBlanc on your street, or do you think
I mean, our street runs pretty long. That's the thing.
Do you think the
so,
mail?
Like, there could be.
You think the mail driver like saw LeBlanc, knew that you were Leclerc, and he's like, it's close enough.
I think maybe. Yeah, I think like that is the closest thing. Is that looked at like Leclerc, LeBlanc. Fuck it. Let's drop it off here.
Bizarre.
Anyway, dipping nuts in salsa. I could see it happening to like, violating food is something you always, you always hear about with restaurants and stuff. This one I feel like is a little too heat. If you're a delivery driver, you know you're going to get caught because you're the last person with the food. I'm going to call bullshit on this one. Asinine.
Cam, this one is a headline here for you. This is a story out of Maryville, Tennessee, where 31-year-old Matthew Webb pleaded guilty to a charge of misdemeanor assault and offensive touching. When the charges were announced in court, I think especially that offensive touching, Webb giggled and was almost put into contempt after the judge viewed this case as abhorrent. He could face actually 15 years in prison. So here's what happened. Last month, Webb was delivering food to a household which they've delivered to many times and is notoriously a bad tipper. And after this week of only receiving a tip of 89 cents after driving 30 minutes away from the restaurant to deliver the food, Webb posted a video of himself dipping his testicles into a plastic container, like a plastic ramekin, like you would get salsa on the side, that kind of thing. In the video, which you can totally, it's super out there and available to watch. You can even hear him saying, "Oh, it feels so good." So Webb worked for the company Dinner Delivered for 3 years. He's been fired, of course. But it does beg the question, you gotta tip these people, folks. They're out here doing the work that you don't want to do. Tip them.
All right, I guess we're gonna allow for people to just do this kind of shit. But I understand. There is people that tip very poorly.
Like it's that kind of thing, right? Let's say you're 30 minutes away from the restaurant. You get a delivery driver because you don't want to do it yourself, and then you tip them $1.
I'm just not the biggest fan of dipping testicles and things. And
well,
saying
it could have been avoided, I think.
Yeah. Let's leave it at that. Cam, headline or Asinine, Brazilian singer reveals she was hospitalized. Brazilian singer reveals she was hospitalized after holding in farts.
A singer. So now I think we had a headline about this not too long ago. It was a 90 Day Fiancé star who was selling her farts on OnlyFans or something like that.
Sounds up our alley.
So the problem with how this can happen, and listeners at home, we know that you're selling your farts online. If you listen to this show, you're selling farts or feet pics. And by the way, ladies out there, sell photos of your feet. There's nothing wrong.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong. Don't show your face. There's nothing wrong with that. You can make so much money. Besides the point, maybe I should do it. I have a nice looking big toe. But yeah, the problem is
my feet are mangled.
The problem isn't holding in the fart; it's the diet required to make these big farts. Right? That's always a problem because you're like eating like nothing but eggs and beans, and it's just destroying your system. But you're saying this singer was just hospitalized just for holding them in. Now this kind of like it raised the question like if you have to pee and you hold it too long, will your bladder explode? Will your kidney explode? Maybe. How long do you have to hold it in for? I don't know. I like to picture she was in a situation where, socially it wasn't acceptable for her to fart yet, like she was at a funeral, or she was, a sound check, getting ready to go on stage, maybe in the recording studio. You don't want to fart in the booth, because then that whole thing will smell. But hospitalized for it, you're going to have a pretty mean dinner before. Cam, I'm going to say this one's asinine.
This one is a headline where the singer came out on Instagram Live to reveal she was in a hospital bed after not farting in front of her partner. Turns out Viviana de Cortes Pereira pretty much not rejected. What's the word I'm looking for, Cam? Refused?
I don't know. Those are two totally different words.
Refused to fart in front of her partner, and because that was experienced severe stomach pains and ended up backed into the hospital because at that point she couldn't let them rip. She was originally a TikTok star who turned into a Brazilian singer. If you look at pictures of her online, absolutely stunning. So I guess that makes sense. You don't want to have that stink coming from someone that gorgeous. Either way, lesson learned here is let them go.
Is there any info there, Cam, on how to make someone fart? Like, you kind of like just push on their belly or something?
You put them in you put them on their back, and then you rotate their legs like a baby, and then they fart.
Huh. There you go. This episode is brought to you by farts. Farts. That thing that could apparently kill you. Cam, I have another headline here for you. Your last headline of the day, Cam. Headline S9, turns out there's actually plastic in our blood.
Plastic in the blood. After years and years of poor diet and pollution within the environment, probably in our water, everywhere, this doesn't shock me at all. It's sad, but it's a reality that we're becoming more and more of a bioweapon ourselves. This is probably Anthony Fauci doing this, honestly, to make us stronger against the coronavirus and potentially be a part of the military-industrial complex. I don't want to get too much in the weeds here, but this is just like, the writing's on the wall. Like, this is a headline.
Jesus Christ. Cam, this one is a headline here for you. This is a story.
That's all you need to say. I don't need to hear anything else. I know I'm good.
This is a story from the peer-reviewed journal, Environmental International, who for the first time has found plastic in human blood samples. The study of 22 people concluded that 17 of them, or 77%, had a measurable amount of plastic in their bloods. Experts believe that the average person eats 5 grams of plastic every week, which is about the size of your credit card. Previous studies showed that plastic was located in human feces, but never found it in the bloodstream. The most common plastic found is polyethylene terephthalate, which was in half the samples collected, which is the same plastic used in plastic water bottles, food containers, these sorts of things. The second most common was polystyrene, which is the plastic found in styrofoam. Collecting the samples involved using glass containers, purging the air and all the equipment with nitrogen so that no plastic could possibly contaminate the samples. More research is needed to determine how this will actually affect the body, but my scientific diagnosis is not good.
No. Bad.
That was my last headline. Do you have one more for me?
I got one more.
Yep.
I got one more. Driving instructor charged with drunk driving while teaching students.
Yeah, so this has to be more of like a Hippocratic oath kind of thing, right? Because, well, I wonder what the rule is there. So let's say if you're a G1 driver, just like here.
If you're a G1 driver, you cannot have a drunk passenger in the car.
Right, but like if that person was sober, you'd be good. But Correct. I guess just because they're drunk, because in like that situation, whatever. So I guess, yeah, regardless, you can't be drunk. But what is drunk?
Drunk.
Is drunk?
I think that's pretty drunk. I think they've drawn that up, and they have a pretty defined answer to that.
What is drunk? I want to see how this all kind of went down. I'm really hoping that the student and the guy went through like a ride check type of thing. The cop opens the thing. They're like, "Oh, I'm a student driver. He's teaching me." And then the instructor's trying to not make eye contact with the cop. He just shoved 14 mints into his mouth. And then she's like, sir, it smells like drinking here. He's like, oh no, I'm 16 and I'm learning to drive. It's not me. And then the adult is like,
yeah, you're kind of giving the thumbs like, I don't know who it is. Give him the side.
yeah. Yeah, I'd rather it happen that way versus like he showed up for work and then like somebody complained or something, because that's just boring. I want something to have really happened for it. This sounds great.
This is a headline.
Yeah, this is a headline.
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what I was.
The headline, and it's at a Long Island where a man on a Saturday was with 4 students, and the 4 students asked him to pull over because he was too drunk, and they called 911 suspecting a driving drunk incident. Russell Cohen, for the Suffolk Auto Driving School, was arrested after students managed to get him to pull over to McDonald's at about 11 a.m. So it is still early in the morning.
Oh, wow. That's early to be wasted.
Yeah. And then Cohen left the students at the McDonald's and did not come back, and ended up crashing into the rear end of another car in New York less than an hour later.
Wow.
The woman was not harmed who was in the incident, but he has been charged with aggravated DUI and 3 counts of endangering the welfare of a child.
Like, that's too early to if it was like at 6 p.m., I'm like, yeah, exactly, it's 5 o'clock somewhere. But I guess, hey, at 11 a.m., it's still 5 o'clock somewhere, I guess.
I just find it funny that he dropped off the kids. He's like, fuck it, fuck you guys. Like,
imagine you calling your mom with that one, like, hey, Mom, can you pick me up at the McDonald's off of Main Street? Oh my God, why are you there? Our driving instructor was wasted and he just left us.
Yeah. And we were in class last week and they told us specifically to not drive with drunk drivers, and we weren't sure if it was a test or not. So we kind of just decided to jump out.
Oh, that's a lot of fun. That was another great edition of Headliner Asinine, I gotta say.
Great. We're coming up to 116 here. Do we have two quick? We have 2 quick recs or rejects, and then we can wrap it up here. I gotta make dinner still.
Oh wow, Cam still has to make dinner for himself. Yeah. I do,
and my wife.
I do too. I need to make my own dinner. I'm gonna put on chicken when I stop recording, which means we have time for one more thing, and that is, of course, to cap off the show with a little plug it or shrug it.
Plug it or shrug it. Plug it. Or shrug it, plug it, or shrug it, plug it, or shrug it, plug it, or shrug it.
Cam, what you got for us this week?
I'm gonna plug a new way to make beans. I don't know if you have an Instapot at home, but if you have beans, which are super cheap when they're dried and not cooked already or out of a can, you can get a ton of them. Put them in an Instapot for an hour with garlic and a bunch of things like that, and they come out just absolute fire. So if you have an Instapot at home, using cooked beans can go in a ton of different things, a ton of protein within them. Good filler for meals. Highly recommend.
Highly recommend. Yeah, the cheap beans, and I like the dried, and then yeah, you can rehydrate them at home.
Yeah,
it's all about saving cash where you can.
It's all about saving cash where you can.
It's all about
Richard Mille cost a Lambo. We know this.
Richard Mille cost a Lambo. We know this. Stay tuned for next week with special guest Richard Mille. He's going to be on the show.
And Meek Mill.
And Meek Mill. They're squaring off in a versus style rap battle. Really looking forward to see what Mille has to provide, Cam. I'm gonna plug an easy one here for you, just something I think everyone should do, because I've been doing it more and more lately, and I've been feeling great. Cam, start fucking reading more. My new commute to my new work. I know, Cam, sometimes these things are simple, but I gotta say, things that I've been doing in my life that have been making me feel 1,000 times better. I hop on the subway. Probably 35 minutes in each direction at least. Sometimes you get some traffic or whatever, and it's giving me a lot of time to read. And can I tell you, waking up in the morning with your coffee, reading a book for like a pretty uninterrupted 30 minutes, I gotta say, it makes me feel great.
Marvelous.
By the time I get to work, I'm fucking sharp.
And your brain's kicking, yeah.
My brain's kicking in. You feel good. Yeah, and just watching the pages just go, you're like, oh, at the beginning of the week, my bookmark was here. Now my bookmark is here. It feels really good. I feel great.
It's all about the progress bar in life.
It's the progress bar of life. quite frankly. So I got to say, it might be a simple one, but folks, just get out there and read more.
Get out there and read more, folks.
And,
okay, Cam, I think that wraps up our 112th episode.
Episode 112, baby. Thanks for listening, folks. Rate, review, like, subscribe. The show is everywhere. twoceesinapod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll be back next week, of course.
And never forget, on overhead press day at the gym, loosening up your lats will allow for more scapular retraction and more power out of the hole. I'm Cam LeClaire, your powerlifting expert. See you later.
Take care, folks.
Continuing tonight on Two C's in a Pod. 96.7 on your.
Two C's in a pod, 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 two C's just like two C's in a pod, two C's because we're two C's in a pod, just like two C's in a pod, two C's in a pod at gmail.com.